Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to explore the fascinating topic of stimulus control and behavior. We'll dive into how environmental cues can influence and shape our actions through learned associations. It's an exciting area that helps us understand a connection between our surroundings and our behaviors. Let's get started. Stimulus control refers to how certain stimuli in our environment can influence or trigger specific behaviors. In other words, whether or not a behavior happens depends on the presence or absence of these particular cues. The key idea here is that the likelihood of a behavior changes based on environmental signals that have been linked with past rewards or consequences. Essentially, when a specific stimulus signals at a certain outcome, like reinforcement, is likely, it increases the chances that the behavior will occur. This principle helps us understand how behaviors are shaped and influenced by the context around us. When we talk about stimulus control, the first key feature to understand is the discriminative stimulus, or SD. This is basically a cue that tells us a certain behavior will be rewarded or reinforced if we perform it. So, it signals the opportunity for a positive outcome. Next, we have evoked behavior. This means that the behavior happens more often when the SD is present. The presence of the SD essentially triggers or increases the likelihood of the behavior. On the flip side, there's the delta stimulus, or S delta, which signals that the behavior won't be reinforced. When the stimulus is present, the behavior tends to decrease because there's no expected reward. An important part of stimulus control is the learned associations. Over time, organisms learn to connect specific stimuli with their consequences. These connections help guide behavior in the future, as the organism anticipates what will happen based on the stimulus. Finally, stimulus control is very practical. It's widely used in teaching and therapy, where we intentionally manipulate stimuli to encourage desired behaviors and reduce unwanted ones. This way, we can shape behavior effectively by controlling the cues in the environment. Let's look at some examples of stimulus control to understand the concept better. First, consider a stop sign. When drivers see a stop sign, they know to come to a complete stop. The sign acts as a clear signal that controls their driving behavior. Next, think about a dog responding to the sit command. The dog only sits when it hears that specific word, showing that its behavior is controlled by that particular auditory cue. Another example is using a TV remote. Pressing the button sends signals that change the channel, demonstrating how certain stimuli control our responses. Lastly, a student might only raise their hand when the teacher is looking. This shows the student is sensitive to the situation, responding only when the appropriate cue, the teacher's attention, is present. Each of these examples highlights how behavior can be controlled by specific stimuli in the environment.